Let's get some analysis now of what the new Premier means for the economy. He's a former Treasurer, now Premier. Let's bring in, that's Dominic Perrottet, of course. Let's bring in for analysis now Warren Hogan, respected economist. He's economics advisor at Judo Bank. Warren, thanks so much for your time. What do you make of the elevation of Dominic Perrottet and in the short term, a recovery plan we're expecting within a few weeks for the economy?
Yeah, g'day, Kieran. The outgoing Treasurer, incoming Premier, has got the recovery plan ready to go, and that should be announced in the next few weeks. That's really just about reinvigorating the economy as we open up post 70, post 80%, and then when we get to 1 December, it's sort of all ready to go. And he's got a very, very strong view on the New South Wales government providing support to exposed industries, i.e. arts, recreation, hospitality, and of course impacted geographic areas, and yeah, that's the CBDs, not just Sydney, but North Sydney, Parramatta, and of course regional areas. So I think the focus is really at the moment on getting the economy up and going again. But he's got a strategic view. The new incoming Treasurer, Matt Kean, will sort of put his mark on that strategic view of where New South Wales is headed in the next budget. And I think we're in good shape from an economic perspective in terms of our leadership.
So that's the short-term recovery plan. The broader strategy, though, previously outlined, if anything, you'd expect it to be pursued with even more vigour now.
Well, I think that's right. The budget outlined the medium-term objectives, and part of that was to get the budget back into order. And of course, it's going to take a big hit from the Delta lockdowns, and I think Perrottet is happy to sacrifice the budget in the short term, but he's going to want to get that budget back in order. Being an economic conservative, I believe that's going to be a priority. But they're also going to want to reinvigorate the state. And I think there's a couple of areas they need to focus on outside of infrastructure and skills that they've been talking about. I think the big one is regional New South Wales. We're seeing a big shift after this pandemic towards working away from offices and a decentralisation of the economy. So I think that's a focus. And I think the other thing, of course, is we're seeing a revitalisation, we hope, of Australian manufacturing. New South Wales cannot be left behind, and the state government's got a big role to play in capturing our share of that activity over the next 5 to 10 years.
So as an economic reformer, he has been quite vocal about that, the new Premier, an appetite for reform, and it's an economy. It's in need of some, productivity enhancing policies.
I think this is probably the most impressive part of the new Premier's role of Treasurer is his desire to reform, to actually genuinely change the way the economy and the community operates. The reforms to stamp duty that have already been put forward are groundbreaking, literally. And he's continuing to talk that way. And I think, obviously, genuine reform requires federal support and the support of other states. But I think Perrottet can make a massive difference as Premier to the broader Australian economic landscape by taking on some of the most politically difficult economic reforms that really do rely on state-federal cooperation. So, look, it remains to be seen, and that's not the priority for the next 12 months. But if he gets some traction as a leader in New South Wales and across the country through national cabinet and so forth, I think a lot could happen, and we need it. This country needs to reinvigorate productivity over the next 5 years, or if we're not going to increase living standards, and that's obviously one of his key objectives.
And you said that won't be the priority the next 12 months. The challenge for the next 12 months, the big one is labour shortages, isn't it?
Yeah. This is where the whole national economy is going to struggle, and New South Wales is going to be at the forefront of it, especially given the fact that we're going to get a head start on opening up over Victoria. And there's just so much pent-up demand. There's so much economic stimulus in the system, huge amounts of household savings. We're not going to have the workers. The borders are closed. Over half the new supply of labour every year comes from overseas. And we're just not going to have the people to fill all the jobs that are going to be around by the end of our summer. So the Treasurer is well aware of this, the former Treasurer, the now Premier, is well aware of this. He's very much about getting the students back, which form a critical part of the casual workforce, and obviously trying to reinvigorate immigration and the skills and the jobs that come with that. So I think that's the real challenge, is making sure we got the people to fill the jobs to facilitate the economic activity, which I think is going to be very, very strong in 2022 in New South Wales.
Just before you go, you've contributed to a report on reviving New South Wales that Mr Perrottet commissioned himself. Do you find that he listens? Has he taken the views on board?
Oh, I think he consults widely, and certainly that's one of his great strengths is to listen not just to the range of political and bureaucratic opinion, but from outside of government and also from both sides of politics. So I think this is a potential hallmark of a great leader, and I think we should be very, very optimistic about what the new Premier offers the state of New South Wales.
Well, that's nice to hear that optimism, Warren, and great to chat as always. Thanks.
Thanks, Kean.